Up until 18th and 19th century, many people were paid on daily basis. In fact, people used to go to factories and they will come back with the money for that day's work. But wait, why I'm talking about daily basis payments in this video? Because in this video, I want to talk about contracting jobs in UK, and the difference is that they don't pay chiller, they pay huge money. It can go anywhere from 50,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees per day. Yes, that's right, 50,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees per day. So in this video, we are going to talk about 5 things. Number 1, I will show you around contracting jobs in UK that are paying that much money. Number 2, I'm going to talk about the nitty-gritties of contracting jobs in UK. Number 3, we are going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages, very, very important, about contracting jobs in UK. Number 4, we are going to learn about why these companies are paying huge money to contractors in UK. And lastly, what are the eligibility rules for anybody to start doing contracting in UK? Let's go. So I'm on jobserve.com, which is UK's one of the reputed websites for jobs. If you look at full stack developer jobs here, and I've selected job type as contract. So if I say search, you will see here that the first job that comes here is paying 500 to 600 pounds per day. Right now, pound is trading at roughly 100 Indian rupees. So it comes out to be 50,000 to 60,000 rupees per day. If I come down here, we will find few more jobs which are full stack developer roles. So for example, have a look at this one here, 550 to 600 per day. Have a look at this one as well, 500 to 600 per day. Java full stack developer, this one is 650 to 800 pounds per day, which is 65,000 rupees to 80,000 rupees per day. What about other jobs? Let me show you multiple jobs so that we understand that this is not just specific to one technology. It is actually across the UK market, right? So if we just try and edit the search, and let us say if we go to project manager roles, so if you let's say look at project manager roles, search, the first one that comes is 550 to 575. If we scroll down further, 500 pounds per day, look at this, 600 to 750 per day, 650 to 800 per day, again 80,000 rupees per day is the rate here. Likewise, if we look at non-IT sector, so for example, the jobs that I've shown is specific to IT, but what about finance? So let us say if we go to let us say finance manager roles. So if you go to finance manager, if we come down here, you will see senior finance manager role here, 700 to 850 pounds per day, right? Likewise, if we come down here, finance program manager, this one they haven't given the rate. That's all okay. Finance lead here, 600 pounds per day, right? What about marketing roles? Have a look at marketing now. So if you go to, let us say, marketing manager role. So this one is a permanent job, but if you look for contracting ones, you will say production marketing manager role up to 550 pounds per day. If you come down, 550 pounds per day. So you can see that there are across the sectors various jobs that are paying minimum 50,000 rupees per day to 800 pounds, 900 pounds, that type of jobs. Let's try and understand the nitty-gritties of the contracting jobs and how does it actually compare with the permanent jobs. So the first parameter we are going to consider is payment basis, right? So in case of permanent jobs, I have assumed here, let us say you're getting a permanent salary of 50,000 pounds per year working in UK versus a contracting job which is 500 pounds per day, right? Now, in case of permanent jobs, you get paid monthly, right? So let us say your annual salary was 50,000. So you are going to get paid roughly 4,200 rupees per month, right? Pre-tax. Let's just discard tax because the tax wise it will be almost same and it gets really complicated. So I don't want to bring the tax angle just yet. So let us say you get paid 4,200 pounds per month. They divide this annual salary by 12, right? Now, in case of contracting, you do not get paid for the entire month. You only get paid for the days that you worked. So if you have not worked for Saturday and Sunday, which is typically is the case, then you are not going to get paid for it, right? So in case of contracting, in a month, you will typically have 20 working days. So you will end up getting, let us say 20 into 500, 10,000 pounds per month, right? And that will come out to be 120,000 pounds per year, right? So that is first difference between the monthly payment versus daily payment here, because you're not getting paid for Saturday and Sunday. Second parameter let us consider is holidays. So in case of permanent jobs, generally people, let us say, get 20 days of annual leaves and you can take time off. In case of contracting, what happens is if you take any time off, you will not get paid for it, right? So if we compare like for like, let us say in a year, even in contracting job, if you take 20 days off, that means 10,000 pounds is what you will not get paid. So if you remove this from 120,000, it will come out to be 110,000 rupees, 110,000 per year, right? Because this ultimately will come out of your daily rate, right? So that's the second difference in terms of holidays. In permanent, this 20 days is included in your package, while in case of contracting, if you take any time time off, it will get deducted, right? Now it's your choice whether you want to take any time off or not, right? The third parameter is called pensions. So in case of permanent jobs, what happens is typically your employer will give you some pension on your base salary. So if your base salary is, let's say, 50,000 rupees and overall your pension is 10%, I've assumed a number here, right? Let us say you are also getting on top of 50,000, you're getting 5,000 per year as a pension benefit, right? You are not likely to get it here. In contracting, you are not an employee of the company. You are working as a daily wages person. Therefore, whatever time you work is the amount you are getting, right? So in this case, you are not going to get this money here. Okay. Fourth parameter is the medical insurance. Again, many companies, depending on your level and your grade, they might offer you medical insurance. So you might get that benefit here. But in case of contracting, you are not going to get any medical insurance. You will have to buy it by yourself. Lastly, there may be some other benefits such as, you might get free lunches here. You might get some stationery and other items here which you will not get in contracting jobs, right? So holistically, if you look at it, if we compare permanent job which is paying you 50,000 per year, here in contracting you will end up, if I just remove the holidays, you will end up getting almost the double, right? Almost the double the money in contracting. Now it is pre-tax. From a taxation perspective, there are various other complications. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to differentiate in terms of taxes as well for contracting jobs. I'll have to shoot a separate video on that. Other than monetary benefits, there are few hidden benefits in contracting jobs in UK. Number one is notice period, right? In permanent jobs, people have to pay generally 3 months notice period. And if you have some extreme situations or personal conditions, or you don't like a job, you can't leave your job. In contracting, the notice period is very, very short. Generally, it might be 1 week, 2 weeks, or maximum 4 weeks. So if you don't like a job, or if you have a personal circumstance to take care of, you can leave a job within 4 weeks of time period, which I totally enjoy. Number two is year-end reviews. In case of permanent jobs, everybody has to go through the year-end review process, and you get rating from your boss and you get salary hike of 2%, 3% or whatever. In case of contracting jobs, there are no year-end reviews because you're not an employee of a company. Therefore, you don't need to go through any of that hassle. And many companies nowadays within the permanent job, they not only expect you to do your job, they also expect you to do additional jobs, and they rate you on your extra jobs that you do, right? None of that business is in contracting, so you are absolutely tension free from a year-end review perspective. Number three is the great learning that you get in contracting jobs. Generally, contracting jobs are very shorter in nature. You will end up, for example, spending 6 months with one client, then you will go to another client and you might spend another year or 8 months or 10 months. So typically, your learning curve in case of contracting jobs will be very steep because you're moving from one client to another client, and you're being exposed to the variety of environment and variety of processes, variety of technologies, and you're building your network all the time. So therefore, your learning curve will be really steep in case of contracting jobs in UK. Number four is the office politics, which I totally hate, and I'm sure you also might be hating it. In case of permanent jobs, sometimes even if you don't like, you get dragged into office politics, right? In case of contracting jobs, you can be absolutely free of office politics should you wish to, right? So that's another mental peace that you get in case of contracting jobs. Having said that, let us cast our eyes over some of the risks and disadvantages of contracting jobs in UK. The biggest one is the job security. People say that permanent jobs are more secure, which is correct, but at some level, I also disagree, because right now, as you can clearly see, Meta has fired people, Google is firing people, Twitter has fired people, but that's a topic for another day. In general, permanent jobs are safer than contracting jobs. In contracting, what happens is when you finish your contract, you have to look for another contract, and the contracts are of short duration. So you might finish a contract in 6 months time and then you need another contract, right? So you're all the time hopping and looking out for one job to another job, right? So one of the important thing in contracting is you need to build a solid network so that you are never out of job. But that is one of the risks that you take while contracting in UK, right? The second point is if you have your career aspirations, such as you want to become a CEO of a Fortune 500 company or something very similar, then permanent job is more suitable for you, because in contracting, you're never trying to eye a job title or a position within the company, and you're not likely to get those positions that you want to have aspirations for, because in contracting, mainly you're after money and you're also after learning rather than being very specific for any job titles that you might want to wish for. So these are the two main things that I want to call out when it comes to disadvantages or risk of contracting in UK. If you're a curious mind, you might have a question now. Rahul, why companies are paying so much of money for contractors in UK? There are three reasons for it. Number one is their short-term requirements. Many companies, they will have short-term requirements. So for example, let us say they have a project coming up. The project is only for 6 months and they need a project manager. Now, rather than hiring a permanent resource on their books after 6 months when the project finishes, what are they going to do with that project manager? Therefore, they look for contractors so that they can finish those short-term requirements rather than hiring somebody permanently. That is number one. Number two is the urgent requirements. So what happens is typically if you all of a sudden have a requirement for 2 resources or 3 resources, rather than going in the market and looking for permanent resources, that might take 6 months because they will have to arrange for interviews. Then once interviews are done, they will have to go and give notice period, which typically is 3 months. What happens is that you lose a lot of time. But companies all the time have urgent requirements and contractors can join you as a very short notice, as short as 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? Therefore, urgent requirements can only be met by contractors in the market. And lastly, number 3 is the niche skills. If the company is looking for something that is very, very niche, for example, in IT, you have, let's say, Workday, Salesforce, or any specific insurance products, you are not likely to get resources very easily because the resources know that in the market and they are taking full advantage and benefit of this, and they're only doing contracting because they know there is a lot of money in contracting. Therefore, companies will have to only hire those people who have those niche skills, and therefore they end up paying a lot of money to contractors. Now comes the very important and interesting part of this video, which is what are the possible routes in which anybody can start doing contracting in UK. So as you can see on my screen, there are 4 ways in which anybody can start doing contracting in UK. Number 1 is an obvious one. Anybody who is a British citizen, they can start doing contracting work in UK. Number 2 is if you are not having a British passport, the second option is something called as indefinite leave to remain, which is also called ILR, which is also called PR, permanent residency, that you don't need any visa to be able to work in UK, then you can start doing contracting. Number 3 option is that if you do not have number 1 and if you do not have number 2, then your third option is that you need to find a company that can sponsor your work visa, can bring you in UK, and then you will be able to work for a client on a contract basis. Let me quickly explain to you. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail of that model, but let me quickly touch upon that. So let us say you find a company here and this company will give you your visa, okay? And you will start to work for a client that you will have to find a contract for potentially, right? Now what happens is, let us say your daily rate is £500. So your client will pay this company £500 per day, okay, for the work that you will do. And this company will, let us say, take 20% margin from this 500, right? So let us say £100 per day goes in this company's pocket to just give you the visa. The remaining £400 will be given to you by this company. I've taken 20% as an example, but it really depends on this company and your negotiation with the company, and how many contracts you can carry on getting is what it will depend on. That's the third route, which is called finding a company. It's not an easier route. It is quite difficult to find such companies who can genuinely, without having any fraud, can offer you visa and you can work out this model. Few of my friends have done it, so it's not that it's impossible, but again, you need to look for the right company. Fourth option is the dependent visa, which is, let us say, if you're husband and wife, one of you come here on site, maybe from an IT sector, and start working, and your visa is sponsored by your company, while your dependent, might be your husband or wife, can freely work in UK and can do contracting. So these are the possible routes, 4 routes wherein you can start doing contracting in UK. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this video. If you did, please like this video and also drop any questions you might have in comments. Keep rocking. I'll see you later.